I'm in the Gantt chart view, looking over here in my entry table. We're going to learn how to set an interim plan. Setting an interim plan is taking a snapshot or a copy of my start and finish dates of all the tasks that I have listed in my project. It sounds a lot like setting a baseline, doesn't it? Well, I'm going to go over the differences between the two, a baseline and setting an interim plan, by first coming up here, clicking on the project menu, going down to project information, clicking statistics, and as you recall my level 1 training video when it comes to setting a baseline, that'll take a copy of all these fields here, the start, the finish dates, duration, work, and costs. Where when it comes to setting an interim plan or saving one, it just takes a copy of the start and finish dates, and again both of them will do it for all the tasks listed in your project. Now the purpose of setting a baseline is that you want an original copy of your plan before you begin your project. So once your project has begun, and you've got your tasks that are slipping or they're starting earlier or delayed and so on, you have something to compare against an original plan or again your baseline plan. Now setting an interim plan you'll set after your project has begun. And you can set or save up to 10 interim plans. For example, let's say on August the 7th or so I set my first interim plan. I take a copy of my actual start and finish dates. I can take those and compare them against my original baseline plan. You see, I didn't have too far out to go to compare what's happening so far, just a little section of time here. I can go out and set a second interim plan here, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, again up to 10, and I can actually compare not only against the original plans to the baseline, but the differences between those interim plans or between those different points in time. See if this makes sense. If I just have my original baseline, no interim plans to divide up or section out the start and finish dates to really analyze the differences between certain points in time, and I just have my project end date, let's say my project baseline end date was supposed to finish September the 22nd, and let's say it got delayed 2 or 3 months. Well, all I've got is the end date and then the original baseline date, and I'd have to go back through and figure out at what point in time did we really experience the delay, as opposed to having all these interim plans or milestones, as it were, in the timeline to compare against at what point maybe it was between the interim plan 3 and 4 that we were delayed by 2 weeks, this point in time here. So it's really good at helping me dissect at the different points in time any delays, or better yet, any advances or any tasks that were finished earlier that helped get our project to finish early as well. Now you don't need to set a baseline in order to set your interim plans, but to me it only makes sense to set your baseline before you begin your project, because your interim plans, well, I compare them against my baseline, what my original plan was, but again you don't need to do that. So to make sure that you've got your baseline set before you begin your project, and then after you set up your interim plans, after your project has begun, you can come up here, click on the project menu, go down to project information, and click on statistics, and you're looking in the baseline field. Just make sure it doesn't have an NA for not applicable or like a 0 there. So we've got our baseline set. Now we just need to learn how to set our interim plans. Setting an interim plan is basically the exact same steps you're following when you set a baseline, and that's coming up here, clicking on the tools menu, going down to tracking, and then over and down to set baseline. I know it doesn't say set interim, but go ahead and click on it, because here it gives you the option to select set interim plan. Okay, our interim plan, what it wants to do is it wants to copy the start and finish dates, the actuals, back into our first interim plan. So in other words, this point in time, we've entered in, or we completed some of the tasks, right? And some of them finished earlier, some have finished later. We're taking a copy of the actuals, those two start and finish fields, and copying them into our interim plan here, and it's for the entire project. And notice it doesn't say interim start 1 or interim finish 1. Just know that these are the fields you're going to pull in when you want to be able to compare your interim start dates and finish dates against your baseline dates. And we'll learn that in the next training video, but right now we just want to basically learn how to set our first interim plan. If you don't do anything, just leave it like it is. Go ahead and click OK. Your first interim plan has been saved. Now let's go a little bit beyond that. So we've set our first interim plan, which is a copy of our original start and finish dates as you see them here in the Gantt chart. Let's change this up. I want to go ahead and complete a few tasks and maybe mark a few and maybe set a few tasks that have been delayed or finished earlier. In other words, I want to set a second interim plan and show you how to do a second, a third, and fourth, and so on. So to make some changes in my project, let's pretend it's tomorrow and we're getting more actuals back. I want to come up here in the View menu go down to table entry and change it from the entry table to my tracking table, because here, as you recall in a previous training video, we can go ahead and update our tasks as being complete. So I'm going to come in here and say instead of 50%, you're now 100% complete, but we just found out that even though you're completed, the writer of the task came back and said, you know, actually I started later. Instead of the 11th, we started on the 12th. Okay, let's go to the next task and mark it 100% complete. And let's say that those are the only changes there. And you can see all the highlighted cells that have been affected by the change I made here. Let's go ahead and click Save. Be sure you click Save before you save your interim plans, okay? Obviously that would make sense, because if you didn't save your work before you saved an interim plan, you're saving something prior to your change. So click Save. Those are the couple of changes that we've made. Come up here and let's save our second interim plan, Tools, to Tracking. Again, it looks like we're setting a baseline, but we're not. We're going to select Interim Plan, and we're going to change the into from our first interim plan, which is our start and finish dates 1, to our second start and finish dates 2. And we're still copying from our original or actual fields, our actuals of start and finish. We're not going to change this to, we could, start and finish 1, but that's not going to make sense, because all we're doing is we're copying from the interim plan 1 to interim plan 2, interim plan 2 to interim plan 3. No. You always want to leave your copy here from the actuals fields, okay? And just saving this at a second interim plan and then clicking OK. And of course, just go back and keep doing the same thing. Again, let's say a week from now, you want to save a third interim plan. Follow the same steps, just make sure that you're always copying from your original or your actual start and finish dates into your third, fourth, fifth, or whatever interim plan it is. And that's it. You want to watch the next training video, because I'm going to show you how to view your interim plans. Long story short, you're just going to go ahead and insert your fields here as columns. Your start one for your first interim plan, your finish one for your finish date for your first interim plan, and so on. But I'm going to try to hit two birds with one stone in the next training video, because I don't like inserting all these fields into these default views here. I want to create my own custom table that I can pull up and not mess with my default tables here. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.